Welcome to the CounterAct YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for this short video tutorial.
Hello everyone, welcome to the buying webinar. It's Phil here and Felicity.
Hello.
And also Louis.
Hello, the first time.
So this is a webinar our first part of our webinar on webinars we're going to run on buying. We're going to cover really the basics today. Second part that will be on the 15th of August, buying 2, will probably be a bit more detailed for those of you that are experienced users, but keep listening, you might learn a few bits and pieces that you didn't know. Take about half an hour, 35 minutes, and as usual we're going to record this, and we'll pop it up on the YouTube channel afterwards so you can watch it as many times as you like. Felicity's going to do most of the talking and Lou's going to be chipping in as well, so we'll get cracking.
Right. So we're just going to be talking about how you set up suppliers and products to get the correct information on your purchase orders, really. So first of all, I was just going to quickly go into purchase ledger and amend supplier details, just to say this is my supplier for today, brown and green, that it is on this side that generally you've got the main depot 1 name and address, and obviously because it's on the purchase ledger that's the account name and address. For many suppliers they're much the same, there's no different place that you order from. As soon as you do order from somewhere different, then you can have additional depots. Even if you just have but stepping back from depot a second, if you have a different contact but the same address, you can add that at the stock control level, or in fact at this depot level, depot 1, because here we've got a different contact that's going to be seen for the stock side ordering with a contact telephone number, etc., different to the accounts information there. So depots can be added either on the purchase ledger or on the stock supplier amend screen. The only thing about it that's different between purchase ledger and why I'm sitting in here at this minute is that you have the ability, so if your main depot or any of your depots are there purely for information and not for ordering purposes, you can click this little button and nobody will be able to order from that depot, which could be useful. So that's that. Finish with the purchase ledger now. Back to stock control, maintenance, and off we go into amend supplier details. It defaults up here on graphical. This is slightly different if you're not used to looking at graphical for stock stuff. The default here is that I'm just going to search for a normal supplier. If I want to search for another branch that I have, I can click on there and it literally just does give me my other branches on the system, which is slightly more straightforward than if you're in character searching for another branch. Right, okay, supplier, brown and green. So here we are with that information that I could see and with block orders greyed out. This is relatively new, that you can, here's your order email that you can have, and you can also have a separate email address if you wish for returns, and also for debit notes if you use debit notes. And obviously if this is just a non-ordering depot, I'm not really interested in the other information for it on here, so I'm going to go and choose depot 2, which is where I can order from my different address, my different contact. And moving on to details, centrally maintained is something that is to do with multi-branch maintenance of supplier and supplier product information. It's kind of a different topic. No doubt one day we'll cover it. If you're interested and don't already have it in place, then please do contact us. It's all about choosing a branch or branches that you copy information from to other branches. So if you've got 10 branches, you don't have to maintain something 10 times.
Okay.
This is to do with entering receipts where it's defaults to cancel on request. You're asked whether you want to cancel. You haven't booked everything in, but if you always get part orders from a supplier, then you can have it automatically cancel. Cancel on request. Right, these back to ordering. Order method. You can have a different order method of sending things off to direct mail, directs, and also returns. There's a control file that decides how your price will appear on a purchase order, or whether it will appear at all. You can have orders generally unpriced. You can have them with just the unit price, you can have them with the value, or you can have them with the price minus any discounts that you've put into the price. But this allows you to override that default if you wish for a specific supplier. So if there's some suppliers you really don't want them to have price orders, then you can choose unpriced. These remarks here are ones which you have the choice of either just seeing at the front of doing an order, or you can actually do that and add them to the top of your purchase order by ticking that box. These two boxes are irrelevant to ordering. We covered rebates in the previous webinar that we did, and freight percentages are just the opposite to rebates. They're where amounts are regularly added in, and you want stock to always have additional amounts added to it if you live in Jersey or the Isle of Wight or somewhere. It becomes quite a useful thing, but those boxes look far more significant than they really are. Right, moving on to the family tab. A family, in most cases, for your supplier, you've just got one set of terms for all the products that you buy from them, and so there's just the default one family, and you don't have to worry about having multiple families. And really, the term family doesn't really mean anything much. However, if you do have sets of products, for instance, that you want to deal with separately on purchase orders, have completely different buying terms, then it's useful to have more than one family to do the orders. Alternatively, as we have got here, a useful way of using families is to have, if a supplier gives you a different price for collected items, if you go and collect them, to if they deliver to you. So you can have one for collections, and one for deliveries, which in fact, unfortunately, on our example here,
because we did it on the other one, didn't
we did it on the
Yeah.
one which in fact we don't order from now. We only recently decided that we weren't going to order from that address, so we haven't quite yet set it up for Depot 2. Anyway, we're only going to be concerned with one family at the minute. So you can give your family a name. You can put some notes here. Now those notes are purely for this screen, when you're looking at this screen and buying information. They don't appear on the order as the remarks do. You can give the family name if you've got more than one. You can allocate a buyer to a supplier, and that kicks in again when you're doing recommended orders. Well, most of this stuff kicks in for recommended orders as well.
So is that buyer associated with that family then?
That buyer associated with that family,
right,
yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's another reason why people do have different families,
right,
is because they have different people looking after different products.
Right, okay.
So, the interesting bit of all this is the buying terms. So, the normal default, without touching any of these buying terms, is that this sits here just with K in it. K being the price book cost, but as the help tells me when I actually hover on here, I can put a K minus or K plus, whatever I wish, in there. I can also have lists, so I could be holding a list price, and that might be the actual price that you pay. So you might have a different sort of dummy price book cost, but you want purchase orders to use whatever you keep in your list box on the price book, and you can put that in there, and then you can have up to 3 percentages here, and yeah, so that's 6K or L and up to 3 percentages. You can have this by quantity, which is the default, but you've also got gross value, net value, and weight to choose from. Weight, obviously you need to have weights on your products on the system. You can then have quantity breaks in this case, or value breaks for any orders, and so you can put different prices in, and you can identify which is your preferred break. And if you're ordering something that only reaches this level when your third quantity is ticked as a preferred one, then it will warn you when you're doing an order that you haven't reached the preferred break value of quantity. So that's an overall figure, but on individual products, which we'll see later, you can have individual terms, or you can have a net price on a product. And then on the product, you can also have individual break quantities, values, etc. If you have great chunks of products that, sort of 3 or 4 chunks of products for a supplier with, say, 3 or 4 different terms, you can set up alternative terms here, which gives you the same, you added a different one, it's giving you all the same boxes here, and when you do the product, you say you're choosing terms 1, 2, 3. Right, going back to here though. Carriage free can be ticked, and carriage free if net value or quantity or weight is greater than, and you can put in a value here, so I'm going to put £300. That's just for stock orders. You can also have a separate one for direct orders with the carriage free. As soon as I tick on that, that opens up. You can identify what the default delivery type should be for when you're ordering from this family. And if you are using it in the way we were talking about, the split between collected and delivered, you can tick this fixed delivery type, because then it will set it to C and it won't let you change it. So you'd have to get the delivered prices, you'd need to choose the delivered family and get it to be a delivered one. I will undo that. I'm confused. Right. Sundry charges is where if you frequently have charges added to a purchase order, such as craneage or haulage charges, particularly for collecting, maybe you'd have your own haulage charges that are added to that, and you can just add an amount onto an order. It brings up a little box to say sundry charge. An amount of money can be put on. When the goods are booked in, that amount of money is then apportioned across all the stock
costs.
The stock cost.
Buying costs, stock costs.
Right, yeah. So your goods come in at a higher price. Again, if you don't know those charges exactly at the ordering stage, those sundry charges can be added or changed at the check purchase invoice stage. The alternative way for dealing with that is to have a non-stocked product on the system for delivery charges, for instance, or whatever. And if you add that to your purchase order, and this is assume useful where you want to see that as a separate, it's not an additional. I suppose the sundry charges is where the price is coming from a different supplier. If the extra charge is coming from the supplier that you're ordering from, if you have a non-stocked product on the purchase order, then that will automatically split whatever's under that stock, non-stock product, across the products in the same way as the sundry charges are.
So sundry charges more often if it's for a third party.
Yes.
If you add a line non-stock product to haulier to the order, then that's usually for you.
Well, if it's a non-stock product, it's something. It's going to be on your order to the supplier.
Yeah.
So it's a
Somewhere
charge
on your
there,
order.
and it's going to be matched off against your invoice. It's going to be there for matching off against your invoice. Non-stock, so that you don't sort of I think you have to book it in a. You have to pretend book it in even if it's non-stock. Right. Head office monitored is to do with recommended ordering, so we'll ignore that for the minute.
But we're going to do recommended ordering next time.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And this is obviously to do with recommended ordering and the order frequency. And the lead time does come into play in standard purchase orders. If you can have the system set to have the delivery date just default. In fact, the default used to be that the delivery date would be entered on a purchase order using the lead time, the actual lead time that was on the supplier. That can be confusing sometimes because you would shoot through with a sort of, if you hadn't been booking things in quickly, the actual lead time might be a bit long. And there is now a setting so that you can insist that a delivery date is always entered and thought about every time. However, if you have it defaulting, you can put the actual right. Lead time comes into play again with forecasts and all that sort of thing, which we'll talk about next time. Rebate rate, that's it for that screen. I'm going to say discard here because my little things at the top had become greyed out. Here you can just click on this button, you can see all the products that are associated with that supplier, and here we have
that's products that are associated with that family, isn't it?
that family. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that family for that supplier. And here we've got loads, and they're all the main suppliers, so it's the number one preference supplier for all these products, and it would then go on to second. Well, it shows second, it's in actually product code order. And from here, you can just trot off and go and look at the stock display. And it's this next bit that we're going to look at, the product update, in a moment. So this here, other locations, is to do with copying things across, actually. So it's to do with the central maintaining and excluding things, I think. Something of that nature. Right, okay. So out of here. I'll just mention before we go into this amend product stock details, the group amend product stock details, which can be very useful for changing things that are on the product screen, particularly if we chose globally, for example, associated suppliers. You can go through and replace one supplier with another for a whole range of products. You can say, right, okay, I'm going to replace one supplier with another. So I'm going to say that my old supplier is I'm not going to do this, is this one. And my new supplier is going to be that, and so you can see all these other. Oh, and also when I was in that screen, I had the ability to choose which preference I put. Obviously not.
No.
If you were adding in a new supplier, you do have the ability to choose whether you want that to be the number one supplier,
Right.
so it sort of inserts it in front of others. But I'm just replacing one with another, and one of the selections you can do, you can say, right, okay, so I'm only wanting where the main supplier is the Brinley. So I should just cancel out of there. So that's quite nice and quite powerful there. And then product stock details. And I shall just bring up one of these Evo stick products again. Random. And up here is all sorts of other stuff. You've got whether items are stocked or on request, which again comes, or on non-stock, comes into play, particularly with recommended ordering because they need to be stocked products, unless they're on a custom order. Rack locations, minimum order quantity. You will be warned. The minimum order quantity, you can have a general one. There's also one down in the supplier level. And the minimum order quantity will be queried if you don't reach it on a purchase order. And the pack size, if you don't enter anything here, it will just default to come across from the price book. But you can override what the price book has got here, and you have pack size again at supplier level. Order rule comes into play. Products are added as standard. And that comes into play really with recommended ordering, which way we do it. These are all recommended ordering ones. Stock by length, nothing to do with, well, is not in this topic. Traceability, exclude from transfers. No. So nothing else at that level. Off we go into this actual supplier. And here is where I've got it defaulting to the family, but if I choose and go down to product level, then it lets me put in an actual value, or I can put a different list minus or K minus with 3 percentages as usual. And this is where I can also do breaks, and if I click on there, there we go. It won't let me go there.
You've got to put a term in there.
I know I've got
Yeah, and then tick the brakes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That's
So,
right,
so you've got a term applied to the family, which you
yeah.
had, and then you've chosen product, and you're applying a different term.
So when you order from that family for that particular product, it's going to come up with a different volume price.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
This is what it comes up with the breaks.
With
now
also
that I've
breaks.
got
Those
K
breaks
minus,
as well.
but I could put that in, but I'm not interested really in doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that product, or if I want to have a definite price, I can put £1 in there,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's a
price.
net price.
that's the net price.
But you have to remember to update that. But I will show you in a moment that there is a relatively easy way of updating things. But I think we'll put this back to being family for the minute. If I'd got any of those alternative terms that I talked about, which I didn't save anything or put anything in, as well as family and product, it would say terms, and you could choose that as well.
Yep.
Here's your minimum order quantity, pack size. If they're blank, they just default to that. Buying notes, you would see on the screen when you're actually sitting on that product in a purchase order. These are to do with recommended ordering. Catalogue number is, if you've got the supplier's catalogue number, then it can be used to print on the purchase order. Also, of course, the catalogue number, if that's on there, can be used when you're updating products on the price book.
Yeah,
if
within
you've got,
price book
if you've got the
maintenance.
catalogue number
Mhm.
together with your
The
CounterAct supplier code, so that's something else. The
Supplier
catalogue number.
account code.
Yep. Yeah, I thought about something else then, and it's gone out of my brain.
It's probably my
maybe
fault.
it'll come back. And I can just click on update to save that if I wish. This search, of course, I search. It's got the little branch button to search for a branch. If you were having a branch supplier as opposed to an actual supplier. Yeah. So that's if you've got all this information, you're in a good position to get the right things on your purchase orders, so that when you do check purchase invoice, you should be able to identify true discrepancies from your suppliers, rather than ones just due to you not having the right price.
And that's one product, isn't it? You've got.
Well, this is just one product, yes, indeed.
Right.
But that's again, this is what the group amend product details is about. All sorts of things. However, you've also got this thing, which is fairly new, extract update product terms, which when I go into this, I can choose to extract the terms, and I've got a selection. I can say, right, I'm going to select for the range of products that I choose, only the ones that have got net price product terms on them, so that I can then make changes and load them in again. Alternatively, I can have any product with individual product terms, be they based on K plus or L minus or net, or you can choose any product, and then you can, if you extract any product for a range, then you can put in a net price or change it accordingly. And you've also got this choice of obviously ranges, but you've got main supplier again, so you can just pick up the ones for a main supplier, extract the spreadsheet, make changes, and then you save it as a CSV and update it. And I think the help here, please note, got some very, very strong advice in there, so very definitely worth looking at that. And information there. So I think that's relatively straightforward, therefore, to update these days.
And people tend to use this more now these days than.
I think
that's becoming the way to do it. Yeah.
I mean, it's even useful, even if you're not actually doing updates. It's quite a useful one to use just to extract terms where you've got a net price in them. If you just want to see a list of products that have net price, if you just use leave everything as all, then you'll get every product that's got a net price on the stock product side.
Yeah, because sometimes you forget that you've actually got a net price.
Yeah.
On certain products.
Yeah. There we go. And that is about all we were going to cover today. I hope there's been some things of interest there.
Thank you very much, Justine Louis. Hope you found that useful. As I say, we're going to really, in the second buying webinar we're going to do, which is on the 15th of August at 3 o'clock, we're going to really get into ordering and recommended ordering particularly, aren't we? So
yeah,
we'll get under the bonnet of that.
We're going to have a look at this additional thing, the buying control panel.
So,
creating recommended orders.
So that's it. So again, thanks for watching. We'll put this out on the YouTube channel probably tomorrow. And any questions, as normal, just
ring us.
Give us a ring. Yeah,
give us a ring.
Email,
Email or ring us to clarify.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks very much, and hope to hear from you soon. Cheers then. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching this short tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on the information displayed on the screen for further assistance.